showing each bell love, unlock your strength. What's happening, people? Welcome to another episode of the Strength Connection. Thank you so much for joining me. All right, it's me and you today. This is a solo episode. It's been a hectic week here in the middle of April 2023. A lot of really exciting stuff happening here on my end. I wanted to share some with you from the podcast, as well as the new seminar that I did this week, which was really enjoyable for me to speak about. It's a kind of a really new experience and a new topic that I was going to dive into with microdosing. So I'm going to give some lessons from it today and dive in. So let's, we'll get right to it. So first off, it was a blast having Nichole Gallagher on the podcast. Her episode came out this week. She got an awesome following. Her Instagram, the Kettlebell Queen. She's been a coach in the kettlebell world for, quite a few years, and just overall, just incredibly strong, incredibly passionate girl, and followed her for a while. We've had many mutual friends, and I was excited to just jam with her, just have a good conversation. I didn't know her beforehand. I didn't know much about her work, but I thought from the content that she was putting out and the message that she had, thought it could be a really cool conversation for us to dive into. And she was so keen on it and excited to jump on, and we had a great time. The message that she talked about of showing each bell love, that one quote really hit me. That really got to me. And it was kind of, we were talking about utilizing different areas of strength and how to really acquire the skill of strength, and talked about not having to always go heavy on weights. And she uses this term with her clients and in her own mentality of show each bell love. So whether it's a super light bell or a really, really heavy bell, everything has its purpose. And I thought it was such a cool lesson about strength, because we really develop technique. We really develop the skill of strength by not always trying to maximize our effort or the heaviest intensity possible. It's putting that same focus, that same energy into the light weights, those practice-based weights. That's really where the skill is developed. And you can kind of bring that across all different spectrums, not just the physical side, but the mental side, the spiritual side. I think everything in there. So that was awesome. Thank you again, Nichole, for jumping on. And I'm sure we'll be having another conversation at some point in the future, but you can check that out. That is out now. And then got a chance to connect again with Tim Anderson this week. Tim's one of my favorite guys to follow. I followed his work with Original Strength and the program that he's created there since its inception. And I had Tim on the podcast about a year ago when we first got a chance to speak and talk about the origins of developing Original Strength. Really got into his origin story of being in the world of health, of fitness. And I remember he used that term, unlock your strength. And that hit me. And I asked him more about that, where his philosophy of we have all the strength that we ever need already inside us. It's up to us to unlock that. Kind of really was similar when I talked with Adam Rodriguez about unveiling versus creating. And he came on the podcast to talk about his new book. It's available now. It's called Be Naked. And we chatted a bit before, and he said, "Hey, would you want to talk about this book on the podcast?" And got a copy of it and dove into it. And right away, from the messages that he was talking about of connecting spiritually, of the importance of breathing, like the practical, aspect of what breath is, so powerful right off the bat. And this was a really just joyful conversation to have with Tim. He's such a deep thinker, and he's so knowledgeable in the physical side of strength, and to be able to really talk about the connection of mindset, of the spirit with the physical. He goes deeper in this book than anything I've ever read. I was almost envious reading this book, because this is the exact book that I want to write. And he did it first, and it's absolutely awesome. So that's going to be out in a couple weeks. So you can tune into that one. And if you don't follow Tim and all his work, he has such a powerful message, and can't thank Tim enough for jumping on the podcast again, and excited to release this one coming up soon. So for this episode, I wanted to talk briefly about the workshop that I did, and really the lesson that I learned from this. So this lesson was the seminar's called 3 Ps of Strength: physical, psychological, and psychedelics. It really stemmed in a couple different ways. So this was a milestone time for me. I've spoke about before, if you listen to the last few solo episodes, where it's been 15 years since I first began my journey as a personal trainer, as a strength coach, and into this world of coaching and health and fitness. And I was putting this seminar together about some of the biggest lessons and insights over this time. But it really shifted and it transformed as I was putting it through, because really the last 6 months of just going through life is I've been experimenting with microdosing psilocybin and lion's mane in this different blend. And going into plant medicine and going into the psychedelic world, it was something I was curious about for a while. There's a lot of research that is out now about the benefits of microdosing, of psychedelics, of mushroom therapy, all these things are much more than I explained in this seminar. There's so much scientific research behind it now. I remember first hearing about it, the first influencer or well-known person I heard talk about it was Tim Ferris a while ago when he was talking about the benefits that he found from it. And then other, top influencers have been talking about it a lot more here. And this was something I personally wanted to dive into. And I just spoke about my own personal experience. I'm not recommending it out to anybody. I'm not saying this is something that you should pursue. I just wanted to put my own personal message out of why I did this, what I did, the protocols that I went through, the benefits, the negative effects, a couple that I had from there, and just kind of give just an overarching message behind. So for this podcast, I'm not going to go into everything that I did. If you want to check out the seminar, I am putting it on the private Facebook group, The Strength Connection. This Wednesday, I'm going to put it on for 48 hours. So if you want to check it out, it's about 45 minutes long, and you want to spend the time to do that, then make sure to go check out the Strength Connection Facebook group. It's a group that you can join. If you go in, we'll give you access right away to it, and you can check it out there. But for here, I wanted to break it down to really why I did this. So for a long time, I've tried to follow that term of the Kaizen path. If you never heard that term before, Kaizen is the Japanese term for, I think in the English translation, it means good change or change for the better. But as a philosophy, it means, small incremental steps on a day-by-day basis. So I was always fascinated by this concept because to say it, I think it's very self-evident. Absolutely. We want incremental steps in progress. And we know that to be true, but saying it is easy, actually living it and applying it on a daily basis to your life and acting on it, I think is very challenging because it's very hard to be 100% on that. But your intentions of it, I think you can get as close to it as possible. So in my time, I've always looked for what are the fundamental things to, maximize, life to fulfill in physical strength, mental, spiritual, all that stuff that I talk about regularly. But what I always think from that too is it's not just means that you need to go in one speed. I think small incremental steps, sometimes we can think like we need to go slow and steady on everything. Sometimes I think you can go into a sprint. You can try and get some knowledge base a lot faster. It's not always the speed that you need to go on, but I think it is applicable in many different things. And I was curious about plant medicine and microdosing for a while before actually pursued it. And why I decided to do it now is I really asked myself 3 questions. And to dive into that is I never wanted to go into something and try and grab something that I thought was going to be a savior. If I was feeling in a poor space or a poor mindset, I didn't want to grab to something to think I can escape into this, or if I jump into this program, this is going to be the thing that's going to solve the problems that I'm trying to fix. I always wanted to look at things a little bit deeper and say, is there things that I know that I need to do that I'm not doing as well, and then working on those. So where I realized when I started going into, should I go into this experiment or not, is ask these 3 questions. The first one is, where am I at? Where am I at with everything in my physical training, in my nutrition, in my mindset practice, in my business practices, in my flow of schedule? Like, where am I in all these different areas? And when I asked that question at this time, I was in a really good place. My business is flowing. I built it up over the past, year of getting it into some stability and some grounding. So that felt really good. Physical training was, going pretty well. I have a consistent routine that I was doing based on both structure and intuition. Nutrition's always on point. My mindset felt very good. So overall, I felt like I was at a very good place for this. The next question I asked is, what am I seeking? Like, what am I looking to get from this? Kind of going back to, am I searching for a savior type answer? Am I trying to add something external out that I think is going to help me more internally. And I realized it wasn't. Like I was really just seeking more for, is this a experiment? Is this an experience that I could gain some knowledge from, positive or negative? Like, am I expecting something from this? And that's the last question that I asked too is this the right time? So answering all these questions of what am I seeking? Where am I at right now? I realized that I can go into this experiment without expectations. So whatever happened, whether it's a positive experience or it's a negative experience, is it things, that I can enhance like creativity, enhanced focus, flow state, increased empathy, physical, connection, mind body connection, all those things that if you research this out, people have seen benefits from. Like maybe I can get that, or maybe it's a mild, benefit of it. Maybe it's not anything at all. Maybe it's a negative experience. Whatever it is, I'm okay with how that comes. So I was really happy that I could answer that question and decided to go into this. So after like going into this for a few months now, like 6 months down the road in here, I've learned quite a few things over this time. And the biggest lesson that I learned from this, I'll give a couple examples. So one is benefits definitely have felt that creative flow. I've felt more of a full body connection in training. I'm able to stay focused in areas of creativity, of working on new projects, and I was able to stay within that zone very well. Just overall, like just going out, just being more present in the moment, a sense of calming, a decrease in that anxiety. Those things have all been prevalent in my everyday life. I felt that reducive anxiety, which was one of the things that I was thinking this could benefit for. But then there was another day that I had where I just decided to, pop in the dose for the day. I didn't go into really any intention of it, which I normally would, and just kind of thought, okay, I'm in a good groove. I'm in a good flow of everything. I can just, do this and I can just put it on cruise control. I don't need to do the other things that I was doing before that put me in the right mindset for the day. I just felt like I was already going to be in that zone. I think that's something that we all do in some ways is things are going really well and we ease off the gas pedal. It's kind of the governor that we have in our own mind. Oftentimes we always think I feel really bad. And then you get this motivation and this willpower to go do something to change it. But often on the other side of the coin is we can be going really well. And then we just almost default naturally into, self-regulating down. Now, I remember I did that one day and I was just kind of already in a little bit of an anxious mode. I had a couple of just calls that came in I wasn't expecting that put me into even a little bit more anxiety. And from that, I had a really bad day of just almost anxiety attack where I had to close everything down, just kind of sit calmly and just let myself get back into a groove. And it really kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, wow, I thought I was, in this great groove. I thought I was doing everything really well. Why is this happening? And what I realized is I was reflecting on this time, and this happened over the next couple of days. I realized that, oh, like this isn't a GPS system. This is a turbocharger for wherever you're already going. So let me break that down a little bit more. And this was my experience that I found is oftentimes we go into programs or we try these new things thinking that it's going to give us the direction that we need to go in. So we start a new training program and we just execute, and this is what's going to get me there. Okay. What I realized in this is not it. Wherever I was already focused on or wherever I was putting my energy to, what this did is it enhanced it. So the days when I focused on being creative, focused on being in an energetic state of empathy or communication, where I was really focusing on the positive things that I was trying to do, this allowed me to get into the left lane and go a little bit faster into it. I could stay in flow more coherently and more clearly. Training wise, I was feeling like I was getting into my body more. All the good stuff, the good benefits that I was looking for, it acted as a turbocharger for that. But again, on the flip side, if I decided to stay anxious, decided to stay in a negative mindset, it only enhanced that mindset. Okay. It didn't alter my state. So it wasn't, I was sad or I was depressed or I was anxious and this got me out of it. No, it just enhanced wherever I was already at. So it's a turbocharger. It puts nitrous oxide in your tank so you can go faster on it. And I think that was just an overall lesson that I really experienced from this is that, again, so often we're searching for things out that we want just to instantly make us feel better? What can alter our state of mind? Because I don't want to deal with this right now. I just want something to take this pain away, or just want to get into a better state of mind from it. What I realized from this is that there's nothing that's going to do that for you. You can only turbocharge these experiences. And yeah, that was a really powerful lesson for me in that. So I think when we go into these things, whether it be microdosing, whether it be a brand new program, whether it be a nutrition program, whether it be a meditation or a mindset practice, whatever we're adding into our time to think that it's going to benefit us in a way, I think if you go into it without that expectation, with a, quote unquote, playful curiosity, then you're open to the full experience of what it is. And you're really going to get a good taste for whether this is something that is a positive thing for you, or it's a negative thing for you, or it stays somewhere in the middle. I think so often, I've done this numerous times before in different things, is if you don't feel good, or that you're in a state where you don't want to be, well, whatever looks like it gives you like something that's not what you're doing right now, you think that, oh my God, this is the thing that I want. I'm going to bring this in. And I've seen, people turn to different things like this, specifically in substance type stuffs, and you can get yourself in a really bad spiral from this. So that's why it was really important for me to ask these questions before I got into this experiment, even though it's a very minor based thing in microdosing that you can do. It's not a really altered based state from here, but I still wanted to make sure I was doing it for the right reason. So yeah, that's the lesson I wanted to share with you here, which is whatever you're doing, whether it's something like this, whether it's any type of new program that you do, if you ask these questions, I think it could really benefit you to know, are you trying to force an outcome, or are you going into it with no expectations? If it's the former, if you're trying to force an outcome, I think if you look back to what are the foundational things that you need to do first, are you exercising properly? Are you in a good nutrition plan? Are you eating right? Okay. Are you in stress management or mindset practice that you're doing? How's the flow of your day going? If you're not doing those fundamental things, and then you're trying to grab something else to add in, thinking that you can shortcut your way in, I think that is, that's a recipe for disaster right there. But if you go back in and you have all these things down, then something like this experiment, I think, could enhance where you're going. It could give you that edge, and then you could really follow that Kaizen path of trying to, okay, where can I make more small incremental changes? Where can I maybe add something in that could be a benefit for me? Okay. So thank you so much for listening to this. I really appreciate it. It was a blast doing this seminar and talking about this. I didn't know how I wanted to speak about this story that I had, but I found this was a good way to curate these thoughts and put it together. So if you want to listen to the whole thing, then again, go to the Strength Connection Facebook group. Just, apply in, and we'll let you in there. And then, yeah, we'll be talking to you guys again very soon. So thanks so much for listening. Talk to y'all soon. Peace. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found some great value here. And if you like this episode, please drop a comment and leave us a 5-star rating and review. It does more to build the show than you can imagine. And do not forget to check out and join the Strength Connection Facebook group. In this group, I share the biggest takeaways and lessons from these amazing conversations, as well as training and strength tips for pursuing mastery and fulfillment in life. This group is filled with individuals looking to take full control over their strength, and it's the perfect space to explore new ideas and to share your journey. And you'll also get exclusive access to the Strength Connection Mastery Seminars. It's a deep dive into the physical, mental, and spiritual training that you can begin using immediately. So do not wait, go now. Seriously, go. All right, much love to you. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.